What to look for in a new rifle. We're talking with George Thompson of Benelli right now. Welcome in, Gun Talk Hunt fans. I'm your host, KJ, and welcome back. Welcome back. We are in the midst of hunting seasons right now. They are starting to crank up all across the country and especially out west. But this Gun Talk Hunt, folks, is brought to you by Brownells, Tetra, Springfield Armory, our fine folks at Benelli, and Silencer Central. Speaking of Benelli, we've got a special guest on with us today, Mr. George Thompson. George, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thanks for joining. You know, it's where are you out of right now?
I'm at my home in Maryland, which
okay. We were joking briefly that you were coming up live from a cell block B. If you can see video, it looks like you're in the clink, man.
Yeah, this is my man cave, which doubles as my office when I'm working from home. So
that's perfect. It's funny because right before we went live, unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see all the fishing rods above his head, and I was honestly a little bit jealous because if you guys listen to the show very much, you know how much I love fishing. I kind of came from the fishing industry initially, and man, good times. I fished Maryland quite a bit, hunted ducks in Maryland. Beautiful state.
You fish, you like saltwater fishing or bass fishing?
Man, I'm a bass fisherman at heart. Yeah. Like that's what I do. But yeah.
Well, that's what's above me, all my freshwater bait casters. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So what I have to ask, you know, what bait casters are you running? Are you running like some Abus, some Shimano's?
No,
little everything.
So I'm probably going to date myself a little bit here, but I'm a little old school. Most of them are Shimano's, and I got some Flugers, but and some Calcuttas actually. But I don't like the newer stuff that has way too many like dials and controls on it. Yep. You know, I like the magnetic weight adjustment, and then you just let it rip, man. When you got to pull the spool out and adjust weights, it's a bit over my head, man.
Yeah.
So I use pretty basic stuff, but I can whip a no-weighted worm pretty damn good.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like that's one of the things. And I like in bass fishing is a lot for me. It's a lot like hunting. You're hunting the waters.
Yeah.
You know, it's about finding what cover, you know, bass like, what structure they like, and then going from there. You know, are they deep? Are they shallow? Or, you know, are they suspended?
You know, here fishing the Potomac, you got the whole tide issue you got to deal with too, right? I mean, that's a curveball every time you go out because they could be there one day and the next day it's a completely different body of water that you're fishing.
Yeah, it's crazy as far as like just trying to find them. Like if you can find them, you can catch them. And that's why like today's electronics and these kids coming up in bass fishing with these, you know, the Panoptics and all this big time stuff. It really is unbelievable.
It is. It's above my head, to be honest with you. I got a fancy Lawrence fish finder, depth finder, chart plotter deal on my boat. And I think I probably use 10% of it. I mean,
yep.
It's got so much functionality, and it's just, man, I just want to know how deep the water is. That's what I want to know.
I just want to know I'm not about to run out of ground or the tide is coming.
Right.
Yeah, look, because running the Potomac, I mean, those channels, man, they dry up quick.
They do. And it's a big body of water, but it's not super deep. I mean, the channels, you know, 20 feet wide, maybe even less in some places. So you got to, I don't rely on a depth finder for that. That's just brought up on it. I know where it is, right? I mean, but you gotta be careful out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Benelli. I mean, that's really kind of what we're here for. And I'm going to be honest with you. When this airs, I will have already come back, hopefully successful, from using your new Benelli LUPO. Which I'm super jazzed about getting in the field. I will have come back from Wyoming on a antelope hunt. So I'm really, hopefully I'm successful. Like I'm trying to foresee success. Like I'm going to will it into existence. But talk a little bit about some of the features and a little bit of the backstory on the Benelli LUPO.
Yeah, the Lupo was a work in progress for, gosh, about 5 years, really, from start to finish. And being our first ever bolt action rifle, we wanted to make darn sure we got it right. And we did all of the testing that was required to make sure we did it right. We're new into bolt action rifles, so we're not like some of these other more established companies that have, they've already kind of figured out the wrong ways to do it. We kind of had to travel some of that ground ourselves. We found some of the wrong ways, but I think we found a really, really good product that is, I'll tell you, I think it's the most accurate production grade rifle that's out in the market. And when I say production grade, I mean, it's not a custom gun, right?
Right.
It's off the CNC machines, it's assembled, it's put in a box, and it gets to a customer. They all shoot sub MOA. And we say that very conservatively. I can't tell you how many guns I've shot that are printing dimes all day long. We wanted to use our experience from shotguns, right? Because we believe we do shotguns better than anybody ever has. And we learned a lot over the years, about recoil reduction, about the cryo treating of barrels, about ergonomics. And we really wanted to take what we know, those are some strengths of ours, and put them into the rifle market, which frankly hadn't really had any innovation in some time, right? It's all just lipstick that you see out there. It's a different color or a different stock.
Well, and a lot of it, I mean, and a lot of what guys are seeing now, and I think the bandwagon a lot of guys are getting on is that uber light backcountry hunting rifle. And that's kind of the new hotness now, but an inherently like dialed in gun is really, that's what you want. I don't care how light it is. I really, I don't want to cart around a bench gun out in the field, but dang it, man, if I'm shooting less than a dime size hole, group, 5-shot group, like that's what I want.
Yeah. And that's something that we characterize that as like reliability, basically. Right. And that's kind of Benelli's core value. We know it very well from shotguns, right? The last thing you want to do is get up at 2 a.m, drag a bunch of decoys out there, set them all up, the birds do it just right, and your dang gun doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
That's not how that should go, right? You shouldn't have to worry about the gun. That should be a foregone conclusion that it's going to work.
Right.
And that's really, kind of one of the pillars of Benelli. And we wanted that same thing in this rifle. Right. I mean, we're not going to change who we are just because we're building a different type of firearm.
Yeah.
So we wanted you to be consistent, right? So you pull it up, you shoulder it the same every time. It fits good. It feels right. That gun's going to shoot where you're pointing it, and you're going to be able to absorb that recoil and shoot a second shot if you need to, quickly and repeatably and accurately.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you do your job, the Lupo will do its job. And that's what it comes down to. You guys, what I feel, and okay, I'll tell you my experiences with this gun right now. Took it out, sighted it in. It took me less than 15 minutes to sight this gun in because I'm shooting, like George says, dime size groups, and that's at 100 yards. That's where I want it dialed in for this antelope hunt. And you're eliminating a factor. Because where you start out with, if you're on a big game hunt and you're having issues in the field, you automatically, and maybe it's only guys, or maybe it's just us as a human species, we want to pass the blame onto something else.
Oh, it's anything but you.
Right.
But the birds, the deer, the tree was shaking because of the wind, whatever. You can.
How many
good excuses?
And I had one of these experiences on an antelope hunt, and I've talked about this many times, many misses during one antelope hunt. And I went through everything. Yeah. I blamed the gear. The guns have to be off, and I shot 2 different guns. It wasn't the firearms. Right. It was me. It was me.
Whether folks admit it or not, we've all had those experiences, right? I got one that kind of haunts me at night sometimes. That my excuse is my rest wasn't very good. It was, the gun had too much movement in it.
Man,
missed, right? But ultimately, you can't. It's
we know.
If I didn't have a good rest, if I didn't feel good with the shot, why the heck did I pull the trigger? Right?
Why'd you shoot?
Come on.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody's got those stories.
Everybody does, but we're maybe we're the only ones dumb enough to admit it. I don't know, but that's part of, like, you're at a, man, I hate to say Benelli's not at a disadvantage. You guys are at the disadvantage because a lot of guys trust your equipment if they know your shotguns. I mean, you guys have such a rich history with shotguns, like that transfers directly into this gun. And I think, man, the first time I've seen the gun, I've shot the gun, but when you first get that box, it looks like you're pulling out a Ferrari. Was that intentional?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a complete package, right? We just feel that we're selling a world-class product, and every aspect of that product needs to be world-class. Even a small detail like the packaging. You call our customer service team with a question, you're going to get world-class service.
Yeah.
You ever need to send something into us, you get world-class service. Our marketing is, I hope people that see it as world-class. Our products are, that's just, we want to do the absolute best that we can do at any and all crossroads. And I'll be honest, this is completely different than the majority of the companies in our industry, right? I mean, I've seen meetings, I've been in meetings, and I've heard people have these arguments about, hey, if we make that out of plastic, we can save a nickel, right? And Benelli has that same conversation. And we say, you know what? If we make it out of unobtainium, it'll last forever. You know what our decision is every time? It's to make it out of the better material.
Yeah.
Because it's not about making it as cheap as you can make it. It's about making it as good as you can make it.
Yeah.
And we put that into every product that we put out in the market.
Right. And we're talking with George Thompson of Benelli USA, and we're really focusing on the Lupo, and that's their bolt action gun. And I'm going to take a real quick break here, and we're going to dive into some of our sponsors. We appreciate their support, but let's hear from them. Silencer Central continues to be an innovator. Did you know you can get a suppressor delivered right to your door? How is that possible? I know you guys are thinking it, but I'm going to let you know a little secret. So I'm going through this process right now with Silencer Central, and they make it easy to purchase your suppressor. Fill out the paperwork, set up your trust, and receive your suppressor all from the comfort of your home. You've got to check out the Banish line of suppressors from Silencer Central. They're easy to clean and have a wide variety of offerings. Visit silencercentral.com to learn more. Since 1947, man, that is a long time ago. A passion for shooting and hunting has driven product innovation at Hodgdon Powder Company, the largest U.S. supplier of smokeless black powder and black powder substitute propellants. New to reloading? I'm in that same boat, so I am just now getting started, just like you guys. But you got to check out the Hodgdon Reloading Data Center for all your reloading information. It's really cool. They give you all kinds of information, what powders work, what powders don't work. But you definitely need to find out more at HodgdonReloading.com. Are you looking for a new rifle for the field? The Benelli LUPO. That's who we're talking to today. The bolt-action rifle is developed for the harshest climates. It has everything we as hunters look for in a fine rifle. Okay, this is meant for the field. The Benelli LUPO features sub-MOA accuracy and advanced ergonomics, and it looks just like a sports car, I swear, coming out of the box. This chassis-style rifle allows for fit and customization right out of the box. Find out more at BenelliUSA.com. Okay, audiologist, which is the hearing doctors, I think we are starting to learn something. We have to restore that hearing, and we have to maintain it, more importantly. The audiologists at Tetra have developed Tetra Range Alpha Shields, a new premium hearing protection product for the range that reduces gun blasts to safe decibel levels while allowing you to talk back and forth between your range buddies and maybe the range officer at the very end of the line. If he's yelling out a command, you definitely want to hear it. But, you know, this isn't only for the range. I've used these out in the fields. I love it. They fine-tune these things for range use and for field use. So visit tetrahearing.com and use the code GUNTALK, all one word, at checkout for 15% off. Okay, George Thompson, Benelli, we're back. And we briefly touched on the LUPO, and we really haven't dove into, you know, what calibers, rate of twist, what are the features of this thing. And I briefly mentioned that it looks like when you get the box, it looks like you're pulling out a Ferrari out of the garage, but you're about to take it off-roading. And I know that would probably scare a lot of people, is to invest in something that you know you're going to use and abuse. And the rich history of Benelli is that, like, you abuse it, because I know, like, my Benelli Vinci, I bought it the year they came out. I've cleaned it once and it runs like a champ. And I've had to replace 2 butt pads on it, but that's because I use it so dang much and I abuse it. And the same thing goes into that LUPO, right?
Absolutely. You know, we don't make safe queens. We make the best tool for the job at hand.
You say you don't make safe queens, but seriously, if you guys go to Benelli's website, BenelliUSA.com.
That's right.
Go on there and look at this gun, because the lines of it, I'm telling you, it looks like just a high-end Italian sports car. But I have no problem getting this thing dirty.
And you shouldn't, because it'll take it. I promise you, it'll take whatever beating you can give it.
Well, let's walk through a little bit. Let's start at the muzzle. Threaded barrel, which I love. That if that does not come standard on every gun from here on out, shame on you guys.
Yeah, it really should. That's the new industry standard.
Yep, that is, and it's threaded. Talk about the barrel, because you guys do something a little bit different there than I've seen.
We do. It starts out as a precision cold hammer forged barrel, and we cryo treat all the barrels, which is, in layman's terms, we freeze the barrels, right? Yeah. But it's a lot more complicated than that. It's actually a very controlled process that takes it down to -300 and then back up to room temperature. And ultimately what that does is it relieves the stresses that are created in the barrel during the manufacturing. Okay. So if you were to look at it like under a high power microscope, you know, you'd see all these molecules of the barrel kind of like scattered all around, right? And what the cryo treating does is it gets them all. I just flipped you off. Not my intention.
That's okay. We understand. Nice. We understand.
It gets
I'm
them
tired
all
of me too.
Nice, it gets them all in a nice uniform, consistent alignment, right? And so what are the benefits of that, right? You don't really care about what it does, right? What are the benefits?
Right. What am I getting out of it? What's the average guy in the field? What's he getting out of it?
A couple of things. Number one is barrel life. It's going to last substantially longer than a non-cryo-treated barrel.
Okay.
You do get accuracy. It is inherently more accurate than a non-cryo-treated barrel. It shoots cleaner than non-cryo-treated barrels. And, you know, I should mention, you know, we didn't invent cryo-treating. It's been used for at least 40 years that I'm aware of, maybe even longer. We were the first ones to do it in shotguns, and we were also the first ones to do it on production grade rifles. But where it actually was developed and where it was first used is in match grade, like bench rest rifles.
Okay.
And it'd been done on those rifles for years and years and years. And that there's still some companies out there that will cryo treat your barrel, and they charge about $300 or $400 to do it. It comes standard on every Benelli LUPO. Right out of the box, it's cryo treated.
That's beautiful. Now, this is a chassis style gun.
It is. And that simply means that it has a lower receiver, right? That's made out of metal. And that chassis basically makes bedding problems not a thing. that's one of the most common causes for an inaccurate rifle is bedding problems, right? Because you might have a great barreled action, but it doesn't sit solidly in a plastic or a wooden stock, right? There's some level of movement associated.
Right.
And that's why people do glass bedding or pillar bedding or all these things to try and reduce that movement. We've eliminated it completely by having the barreled action mate directly to a metal lower chassis receiver. I mean, there is no, it's rock solid bedding. There's nothing better in the market.
That's awesome. And then let's talk a little bit about it's a detachable bolt type magazine. Let's talk about the stock.
Yeah, the stock, because we have a chassis lower, we actually have a 2-part stock, right? Which looks a little different than some of the other rifles out there.
Oh yeah.
I kind of don't want to say it in this regard, but it's akin to a shotgun stock, right?
Yeah.
You have a forearm and you have a butt stock. Very similar. And guess what? We make really good shotgun stocks.
Oh yeah.
That breaking that stock in half and using the chassis allowed us to add, adjustability to it, adjustable drop and cast.
Okay.
When I was growing up, you never really had a lot of choice about which rifle you're going to shoot. It's whichever one,
true.
Right? And I can't tell you how many times I'd mount one of those rifles and I'd have to creep up a little bit to get your picture through the optic or, kind of scrunch down, or none of them ever fit me properly. Right.
No.
And I think that's something that rifle shooters just kind of deal with, it's like,
oh yeah,
it's just how rifles are. Right. No,
right.
It don't have to be that way. Get one that fits you properly. Duh.
Right.
Hey, let's put some adjustability in the stock so you can lower it down. You can move it left or right so that when you put it up, it's just there, right?
It's there. Yeah.
You got a crystal clear reticle. You don't have to adjust your head. You can shoot faster. It's more comfortable.
Yeah. You don't have to think about it. And that's what I like about it is that especially the adjustability is the precision fit that you can get for yourself. And if guys are looking at, if they're looking at, I want to take up hunting, or they're first time buyers, these are the kinds of things that you need to know going in the store. Does a gun fit you? And I think a lot of guys take that for granted, because you're right, George, is that a lot of guys go, well, this is the gun and there's no adjustability to it. Right? You don't have to deal with that.
No, you don't. Not anymore, you don't.
You shouldn't have to. That's the thing.
When you look at like before the Lupo, right? When you look at really, really high end, like precision grade type rifles, that's one of the inherent features that they would put in it, right? They put in an adjustable cone. They put in adjustable length of pull in some kind of apparatus. Yep. They drop the pistol grip down a little deeper. They do these things because they know you need it, but they just didn't put it on the standard offerings, right? Well, it's part of our standard offering. You got drop, you got cast. You can even adjust, and this is hard to explain, but adjust the distance between the front of the grip and the trigger, right?
Right, you can shim it.
Yeah, and that's important, because for the best accuracy, you want that trigger shoe to be right there on that pad, right? You don't want it on the knuckle, you don't want it on the tip. For the best accuracy, you want it right on that pad. And again, most guns don't fit people in that way, right? Because everybody's hands are different sizes. You and I have different sized hands.
Yep.
So let's eliminate as much of the reasons for bad accuracy that we can. And what you have is a gun that just is you're going to shoot it better, right? Let's ignore the fact that it's a precision cold hammer forged cryo treated barrel and the bedding and all of that stuff.
Right.
You can forget about all that. Just the fact that the rifle is going to fit you better means you're going to shoot it better.
Exactly. Yep. And that kind of leads me into, because we start talking about all these things about like greater control, your, trigger. Like that was one thing that I noticed about it is probably one of the finest like production triggers that I've felt. So what are you guys using there?
It's obviously I don't want to say it's a proprietary system, but it's not like a copy of a Remington 700 trigger, right?
It is not.
It's adjustable from 2 to 4 pounds. I think they come out of the factory around 2.5, maybe a little variance. But, that was one of our steadfast specifications from the beginning of the design, is that this trigger's got to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
It's got to break crisp, clean. It's got to be light. It's got to feel good. And I think we hit a home run there.
Yeah. Like you feel that crisp break, and the reset on a gun like this is negligible. But talk about the bolt, because that's one thing. And guys are probably getting tired of hearing about the custom gun I built, and I'm so mad I did, because it was right when the 6.5 Creedmoor was coming out, and I was like, I'm gonna build a gun, and it was the most expensive build I've ever done, right. And I'm getting groups that are this size, and I spent like 5 times more. So I'm really mad at myself. My wife's even more mad at me. She doesn't know. No one tell her, please. Like, just disregard that whole last caveat. But the bolt, you've got to have a good bolt. And guns nowadays, and especially production guns, if that bolt isn't smooth as butter, man, I would rethink your purchase. This one is smooth, and I really enjoy it.
Well, there's a fine line when you're talking about smoothness of a bolt. You want it to be tight for accuracy, right? But you want it to be loose to be smooth and fast. And there's a balance that you have to find there, right? Where it's tight enough to hold the accuracy, but it's loose enough to work smoothly. And I think we did really well there, right? It's rotating 60-degree bolt throw, right? So it's a quick throw.
Yeah.
It's obviously highly polished, so that all the bearing surfaces, there's very minimal friction there. And the shape of the bolt is actually kind of cool for the Lupo. It's almost triangular in the middle, right?
Right.
And that's obviously, it looks really good, but it does reduce the amount of surface area to be in contact, which makes it a little bit smoother. But really kind of the coolest benefit of that a lot of people don't know is that allows us to put an extra round in the magazine. And because that magazine sits up higher in the action because of the relief in the bolt.
Yeah.
And that actually has 2 benefits. Number one is the increased capacity, which, you get a 5+1 in a standard caliber, or 4+1 in the Magnums, but you get an extra capacity. But also, again, we're talking about small details for accuracy, and that magazine sitting higher up in the action means that the angle from that cartridge going into the chamber is much less steep, right?
Okay.
It's not coming up like this, right?
It's not going up the feed ramp at a great angle.
It's almost going directly off the magazine into the chamber. Very little angle needed, because
so you won't get any bind up there.
No.
Or anything.
No. And our magazine is proprietary. It's staggered, of course, to get that capacity, but it's got a partition in the middle of it that's the two sides, right? The 2 staggered rows, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it operate with the same reliability and consistency of a single stack magazine. So there's no possibility of those rounds getting bound up inside that magazine either, because we've got a partition that separates them.
And I'll tell you, if you're looking at this gun online and you're going, I don't see the magazine, there's a reason. I told you it has sports car type lines on it, and you really can't see it. It's actually very ingenious on how they integrated the magazine, which is, it's a little thing, but it's a big thing in the end.
It is, and I can't take any credit for that. That's all our Italian design.
Dang it! No, George, you take all the credit. This is your moment. You're on Gun Talk Hunt. This is your moment. Take all the credit.
No, these guys, it's in their DNA. It's in their artistic passion, right? Where Benelli is located in Urbino is kind of like the heart of the Renaissance. And it's just, if you ever visited it, it is rich with culture and art. And so everything they put out, you can feel that in the product, right? Yeah. The lines, the raciness, the beauty, the elegance. It's just inherent in everything they do. And I'm super proud to be a part of the company. And these guys, they're great guys.
Yeah. Well, we are talking with George Thompson. I'm going to take a real quick break here to jump in and hear some words from our great sponsors. Springfield Armory has a spot that offers daily firearms content ranging from hunting to tactics and training. The Armory Life features some of the most respected experts in the firearms community and gives fans, Springfield Armory fans, and just fans of training, hunting, all things guns, a chance to discuss their favorite topics. Get to know the M1A, the SOCOM 16 CQB, the 10 millimeter for handgun hunting, and more at thearmorylife.com. All right, get ready for hunting season with Timney Triggers Remington 7 Calvin Elite. I've got one of these. I love it. No gunsmith is easy, and I can install it just like you. The Model 7 Calvin Elite allows you to be more accurate with your rifle and provides a custom fit with adjustable shoes for precision length of pull, cast, and height. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com. The newest from Smith Wesson is the M P12 Bullpup Shotgun, featuring 2 mag tubes, ambi safety selector, removable Picatinny rail, interchangeable M&P palm swell grips. It feels exactly like an M&P. I'm telling you this right now. If you felt an M&P grip, once you get your hands on this M&P12, you will feel the Smith & Wesson brand oozing through those grips, and it is a sweet shooter. The M&P12 can hold 20 mini shells. Yep, you heard that right. 20 mini shells. You can alternate them if you want in between buckshot and slugs, whatever you're liking. Or a combination of 2 3/4 inch, 3-inch Magnum, and mini shell loads. It takes them all. Find out more at smith-wesson.com/MP12. Are you ready to hit the range or the field but lack ammunition? I find myself thinking this every time I'm on the interwebs. Brownells has what you need to feed your rifle, shotgun, or handgun. From the bench to the range to the field, Brownells has you covered from 5.56-223-65 Grendel, 308-17 HMR, or 243 even 270, and everything in between. Fill your tag and put more game in your bag with Brownells. Get your ammo now at brownells.com/ammunition. All right, George, we're talking about the Benelli LUPO. We've been on this subject for quite a while, but there's one more thing that I really want to talk about, which I noticed, and I'm shooting the 6.5 Creedmoor. You guys offer actually a wide range of offerings in this, but I want to talk a little bit about recoil control. And when we talk about recoil control, and you talk about, it being very accurate, and this is, it all helps, like the design of this gun is built for accuracy and dependability. Recoil control nowadays is massive because a lot of guys, they want those 300 Win Mag calibers, but they don't want the felt recoil of that caliber. They don't want to feel the brunt of it.
Right. That's one aspect of it, right? The flinch factor. I'm getting ready to set off this Magnum. It's going to beat the crap out of my shoulder. But another aspect to think about is how many times they're going to practice with that gun.
Yeah.
You're not going to, because it's no fun to shoot. You shoot 3 or 5 rounds out of a Win Mag, you're kind of done, right? You don't really want to shoot that much more. But you shoot 3 or 5 rounds out of our Win Mag, and it's like shooting a 270 or even less.
Right.
So that your shooter fatigue is going to be a lot less, right? You can shoot longer, you can practice more. You don't have to dread pulling the trigger and it going off. So recoil is extremely important to us. Recoil management, I should say, is extremely important to us. And there's a balance that you have to work with here as well, right? Because when it comes to accuracy and you shoulder that gun and pull it in tight, it needs to be solid, right? You don't want it so squishy and moving around as you're compressing some kind of recoil system, right?
Right.
It's got to be stiff enough to maintain the accuracy, but have the flexibility needed to absorb that recoil when the shot goes off. And that's why we use our progressive comfort system in there, which is, it's out of sight because it's hidden inside the buttstock, but it's been optimized, of course, for whatever caliber rifle it is that you're going to be shooting. And it does a fantastic job of taking the bite out of those Magnum calibers.
Hold on a second. So you've tuned the recoil management system to the caliber. It's not a one size fits all.
Well, there's a 300 Win Mag is the same as a 30-06, for example, right? But that's not the same as the 6.5. No. Right. And it's not the same system, more importantly, that's in our shotguns. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll be honest, and I probably shouldn't say this, but we call it progressive comfort, right? Because that's the system that we designed for shotguns. And it's called progressive because it's basically based off of the elasticity of interlocking set fingers. And there's different stiffnesses, if you will, of these fingers, right? So if you shoot 2 3/4 light loads, some of them bend, 3-inch magnums, more of them bend, 3.5, even more of them, right? You don't need that range of recoil reduction in a rifle, right? Because whether you shoot a 180 or a 150, there's some difference in recoil, but not the same as a 2 3/4 versus 3.5 inch, right?
No.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, not even close.
We call it progressive, but in a rifle, it's really not progressive because there's one stage, right? And it is optimized for the rifle calibers.
Okay. And you guys are I mean, you guys go from 243, 308, 65 Creedmoor, 300 Win Mag, 270, and a 30-06. If I'm
right. I think I know there's going to be listeners out there that are like, oh gosh, I wish you made a 6.5 PRC or whatever it is caliber. That's the flavor of the week.
There's always those guys out there, and I love those guys and gals.
God bless them. I mean, that's and all I can tell those folks is that be patient. We'll get there, right? If you like one of the calibers we have now, great. I'd love to have you buy one. If we don't offer what you want yet, don't bash us. Just hold on. We'll get there. Well, we're going to move slowly. And
my favorite is going to be because on this antelope that we've got coming up, and honestly, Ryan does a great job of running because he's left-handed. You know, he shoots rifles left-handed, but he runs a bolt faster from that left-handed side, running it on the right side because that's just what he's used to. Right. And I know a lot of guys out there are going to go, well, are you going to make any left-handed models of this?
Yeah, same answer. We're gonna look. This is our starting point.
Yeah,
right. This is our standard field Lupo. Right. We are absolutely going to expand from here. We're going to expand into additional calibers. We're going to expand into different action sizes. We're going to expand into different configurations and platforms, right? Now, obviously, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on what all of those are, but I can tell you within the next 5 years, the portfolio is going to be 5X what it is today.
Yeah. That to me is more exciting, is to see where you come from this, because this is actually a fairly large introduction for Benelli. I mean, guys know the M4, they know the SBE 1, 2, and 3, and they know the Vinci. And now all of a sudden you're launching a rifle. And this is a high-end rifle. This is about as close to custom as you're going to get in a production grade gun. And I think guys need to look at that as such, as this is their jumping off point. And we're always going to have those guys. And honestly, sometimes I'm one of those guys, but honestly, you've covered the stuff in the ammo that I've got in this line. So I'm okay. I'm okay if you stopped here.
Well, we're not going to stop here. This
I know.
Is our starting point.
And
obviously I know what we've got coming, and I'm really excited about it. We're gonna hopefully redefine this entire segment in the industry.
That's awesome. So I have to ask, I mean, so have you gotten into the field lately? I mean, were you one of those lucky guys that got to take the Lupo out for a trial run quite a bit?
So my Lupo field experience thus far, I did an Africa hunt prior to our launch, which was phenomenal. I got some amazing animals and trophies out of that. And I've gone on a whitetail hunt so far. Now, unfortunately, because the world's gone a little crazy the last 2 years, I haven't done much really since then. Stuff's still going on. I'm spending a ton of time at the range, playing with calibers and twist rates and all kinds of different stuff. But my schedule's been a little light the last 18 months.
Yeah. And that's one of the most frustrating things for everybody. And I think that's, with the influx of new hunters that we've got out there, I've been seeing a lot of posts from buddies who never hunted before, and they're getting out in the field, and that's exciting. But, we talk about stuff that you should look for in a, your first hunting rifle. And this kind of checks all those boxes, and it's $16.99. So it's like $1,600.
Yeah.
So a guy's gonna look at that and go, man, $1,600. Like, I see it, like I see the dollar amount, and I'm okay with that because of what you're getting. Buy once, cry once. Like, just get it over with, because this gun will last generations. And I think that's what's cool about it.
And, I hear that a lot. I mean, I'm the Benelli guy, right? So I get a lot of the, why is it so expensive? Why are you so much more than X, Y, or Z? And the answer is really pretty simple. I mean, I do believe, and this might sound ludicrous to some listeners, but I do believe at the end of the day, it's a steal, right? It's a value for the price. The price is expensive, don't get me wrong. But when you break down what you're getting for that price and you say, okay, well, I've got brand X and I want to have it cryo treated. Okay, well, add $300 to that. Okay, now I want to drop a jewel trigger in it. Okay, well, drop into that, right? Oh, yeah, this thing bites really bad. I got to put a limb saver pad on the back of it, which, by the way, work as good as this system, but it's all you can do.
Right.
Okay, well, that's another $50 for the pad and $100 to have it fitted, right? And so you start adding up all these little things, and at the end of the day, you're over $1,600.
Yeah.
And you just get it right out of the gate, and you had everything you could have wanted. Actually, not just everything you could have wanted, but like a production made everything that you wanted, not a Frankenstein that you put together in the basement.
Yeah. Why? And think of it this way, if you're looking to get into the hunting field, why skimp on something that's your direct link to a clean harvest? That's your direct connection to that animal.
It absolutely.
And you owe it. You owe it to yourself for your time, the money you invest, everything else, the time you spend tilling your fields, the time you spend scouting. To skimp on something that is your direct connection is a disservice to yourself and that animal.
When you put it that way, it just doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
Right. So buy once, cry once. Like, and I don't think you're going to cry, because you're going to get this gun to the field and you're going to enjoy it. Like, and that's what we want it to be.
Yeah, you're going to be happy with it. I've yet to meet a customer that owned a Lupo and wasn't completely satisfied with it.
Right. I will tell a really quick story on the dealings that I had with Benelli customer service, and it goes back to my Vinci. I love my Vinci, and that was one of those purchases that I was like, you know what, it's worth it. If I'm going to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, drag decoys out just like you're talking about, I'm going to have something that's going to work, dang it. And so I've shot this gun so much, the butt pad actually started wearing down. And there was times when I was breaking ice with this gun. And I know people are going, why would you like bang your gun around on ice? Well, it's because the ducks were over there.
It's what you
I needed to get over there.
Yeah, I'm not going home.
Yeah. So I call customer service. I'm like, I'm sorry to ask, but I need a replacement butt pad. And I wanted to go with like what Benelli offers, because they are great. The system that they've got built in and the whatever secret sauce you guys put into those, I love them. And I kid you not, 2 days later on my doorstep shows up a new butt pad. And I think it's what you guys are using for the SBE 3s now. Fit like a glove. And then of course I run through it, and man, I damaged through it, and it lasted a long time. So,
we stand behind the products. I said it before. Our customer service, their job is to make sure our customers are happy. And we'll do just about anything it takes to make sure that's the case.
And they get you back into the fight quick. And it's not because you shouldn't have to replace anything, but if you take this equipment out, I mean, it's a tool. Like, this is a tool that if you use it and you use it a lot, it's going to get wear and tear. And man, that was just a testament to Benelli that they followed up so quickly to that. And I think that's great. And it got me back into the field before the next flight. So
perfect.
I was really happy about that. But George Thompson, thank you so much for joining us here on Gun Talk Hunt, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I will be giving you a call back, because at the time this airs, I will have an antelope on the ground. I think Ryan's going to shoot one with the Benelli LUPO. So we're really excited to get it out in the field, and hopefully there's success there. I know there is. If I do my job.
Well, I think we'll do our job too. I look forward.
I know y'all will. George Thompson of Benelli, thank you again. Thanks, Gun Talk Hunt listeners and viewers. You guys are great. And don't forget, always remember, be safe, enjoy the hunt, and keep those muzzles pointing in a safe direction.